Hey, what's up? This is Gardetrace. Dragon Ball Super is a series full of missed opportunities and piss-poor execution. When it was first announced, the series had many possibilities and gave us something to look forward to, but in the end, the series was a complete disappointment. The mismanagement of characters is a big contributor to this problem, as they dropped the ball on way too many of them. So, in this list, I'll be discussing the 13 most wasted characters in Dragon Ball Super. Here are the rules for this list. 1. This is my list, not yours. If you don't like it, make your own list. 2. This isn't a ranked list. I'm not saying any of these characters are more wasted than another. They're all just simply wasted. 3. Why is this a top 13 list and not a top 10 list? Because there are more than 10 characters worth talking about. Also, this is my list, so I can do what I want.
Whatever, I'll do what I want.
Number 1. Tagoma. Tagoma was a character prominently featured in promotional material for Resurrection F as a member of Frieza's army, along with Sorbet, trying to keep it afloat in Frieza's absence. After they revive Frieza, whose sights are set on getting revenge on the Saiyans, Tagoma suggests Frieza forgets about them and focus on rebuilding his empire, and gets jettisoned into space for suggesting it. This happens at the beginning of the movie, making Tagoma nothing but an advertised extra as he's taken out of the equation rather quickly. However, things play out differently in Dragon Ball Super's adaptation of Resurrection F, as instead of being jettisoned, Frieza shoots death beams at his arms and knees to torture him. Later, Frieza uses him as a sparring partner, punching bag, for 4 months in order to achieve power exceeding a Super Saiyan God. How the fuck Frieza got that from beating the shit out of Tagoma is bullshit, as it doesn't count as training if you're not challenging yourself, and that's the only detail we get about Frieza's training. However, Tagoma endures 4 months of hell and gets much stronger as a result, which makes sense. Saiyans get stronger from enduring great ass whoopings, so likely Tagoma's physiology allows him to do the same. So he goes to Earth with Frieza and beats the shit out of Piccolo with his newfound power, until Gotenks headbutts him in the nuts. Then Frog GINYU appears and gets Tagoma to say change now, leading to GINYU swapping bodies with him, and Tagoma is now stuck as a frog while GINYU gets to enjoy his new body. Speaking of which, number 2, Captain GINYU. Ever since the Namek saga, Captain GINYU has been stuck in a frog's body and has been living in Brief's garden for all those years. Then he makes his way to the battlefield where Frieza is, switches bodies with Tagoma, and kicks the shit out of the Z fighters single-handedly. GINYU gets to show off Tagoma's power more than Tagoma gets with his own body. However, it was short-lived, as Vegeta one-shots GINYU, blasting him straight to hell, removing both GINYU and Tagoma from the equation. This is one of the many instances in the series where there are changes made from the movie versions of these arcs that makes no difference in the end. Tagoma gets to do more than he did in Resurrection F, but what he did doesn't change the course of the story. And GINYU returning was pure fan service, as all he does is fill up time in the episode, and Vegeta gets the honor of killing all members of the GINYU force. He already killed 4 members on Namek, and now he finishes the job. However, that doesn't make up for the fact that he never gets to kill Frieza. That's Goku's job after all. Number 3, Cabba. Cabba is the first Universe 6 Saiyan we're introduced to in the series. He showcases that there are many differences between the Saiyans of Universe 6 and 7, such as the Universe 6 Saiyans having no tails, therefore can't become Ozaru. They still lived on the original Saiyan homeworld, Sadala. They are part of an organization of Universal Defenders instead of space pirates. And, most damning of all, there's no legend of Super Saiyans in Universe 6. Then, during Cabba's fight with Vegeta, the latter gives a half-assed threat about destroying Sadala, leading to Cabba getting pissed off enough to go Super Saiyan. That makes no sense, but that's an entirely different discussion which I already talked about in another video. After the Tournament of Destroyers, instead of getting an arc to explore Universe 6, we instead force future Trunks out of retirement and basically have him go up against Tullus. We don't see Cabba again until the Universe Survival arc, and he recruits Caulifla and Kale. He has Caulifla go Super Saiyan through the ass-pull method of back tingles, and Kale becomes Broly because she thinks Caulifla is flirting with Cabba. Dumb bitch. Caulifla then pulls Super Saiyan 2 out of her ass to stop Kale from killing Cabba. In the Tournament of Power, Caulifla and Kale completely hog the spotlight from Cabba. We see Goku and Caulifla sparring, Kale rages out and knocks Goku around, and they later team up against Goku, then get Potara earrings to become Kefla, and fight Ultra Instinct Goku until they're eliminated. Where does that leave Cabba? He hardly gets any screen time, then he later has trouble against some random fat bitch, and he goes Super Saiyan 2 and turns the tables on her, then gets unceremoniously eliminated by Frieza. Cabba is a character that serves as a replacement to Tarble, as they resemble one another and they look up to Vegeta in a big brother senpai way, but we don't get to see much of it in the series. Also, Cabba, being our first Universe 6 Saiyan, could have been the hero of another story. We could have had a whole arc about him and get to see more of Universe 6, and we could potentially have a spin-off series for him, but no. The first Universe 6 Saiyan is apparently not as important as the first two female Super Saiyans of the series, so he gets thrown away like yesterday's trash. Number 4. Frost. When it comes to members of Frieza's unnamed race, all of them, canon or not, are portrayed as tyrant dicks, and they are all blood relatives of Frieza. We have King Cold, his father, Cooler, his brother, and Chilled, his ancestor. Then we're introduced to Universe 6 and we see a member of Frieza's race from a different universe, Frost. Frost is shown to be a benevolent member of Frieza's race as he's viewed as a hero to Cabba as well as others in Universe 6. We see him go up against Goku, and during the fight, Goku gets lightheaded and gets eliminated by Frost. In his fight against Piccolo, who also gets lightheaded, we learn why it's happening. Frost has concealed poisonous needles on his body that he uses to cheat with. Then Frost shows his true colors. He's an asshole who is just putting on an act. He's viewed as a hero because he fights and saves people in wars. However, the wars were caused by him. Why he reveals all of this knowing that this will put a target on his head? I don't know. At this point, he's simply Frieza by another name, and anything interesting about him is gone at that point. Vegeta steps in to beat the shit out of Frost in the next round, and after the tournament, Frost is on the run. This could have segued into an arc for Universe 6, which could have gave us a look at another universe besides Universe 7, but Toriyama wouldn't dare go that long without Goku since he has such a hard-on for him. So we don't see Frost again until the Universe Survival arc when Hit recruits him. In the Tournament of Power, Frost meets Frieza, and it potentially sets up a big bad duumvirate with the two of them. Then Frost fights Muten Roshi, who who uses the Mafuba against him, but it misses. Then Roshi uses the Mafuba again, but Frost reflects it to Vegeta, trapping and sealing him, but Roshi frees him and Frost runs away. Then he and Frieza reveal their partnership to Gohan, and Frieza starts beating up on Gohan. Then Frost and Frieza get into a dick measuring contest with each other, then Frieza tells Frost not to trust anyone before eliminating him. Frost, feeling humiliated, tries to attack Frieza, but Zeno erases him from existence before he can. Frost was a horribly butchered character. Once his true colors were revealed, he became a very redundant character to Frieza, and he really doesn't have enough to differentiate himself from him, and he gets reduced to an absolute joke in the end. Having a good member of Frieza's race would have been a fresh change of pace, and they just had to ruin it. Number 5. Hit. Hit is the strongest member of Universe 6's team, and is the main antagonist for the Tournament of Destroyers arc. Personality-wise, he was quite bland. However, an arc focusing on Universe 6 could have fleshed it out, but of course we didn't get one. What Hit does have going for him is a cool design as well as a badass ability, Toki Tabashi, which allows him to skip ahead in time. He and Goku have an awesome fight, which brought back the Kaioken. Unfortunately, it didn't have a clear resolution because Beerus and Champa kept meddling with the rules, leading to Goku forfeiting the match. There was also a subplot of Hit only agreeing to enter the tournament in exchange for Champa's cube, but after his fight with Goku, he doesn't want it anymore. This sudden change of heart comes out of nowhere. Before the Tournament of Power was announced, Goku places a hit on himself so that Hit would show up to assassinate him. This gives them a light rematch, and Hit showcases a new technique. This gives us something to look forward to in the Tournament of Power. Once the tournament starts, Hit hardly gets any screen time. We see him fight Dispo and initially struggle against him until he learns his fight pattern and is able to counter it. Then after Goku and Jiren's first encounter, Hit takes on Jiren, only to get thoroughly dominated by him. Apparently, Jiren is stronger than time itself. That's like saying you're stronger than oxygen, or you're stronger than the color red.
It does not make sense!
Hit gets eliminated only through the midway point of the tournament, and definitely wasn't one of the major players in the tournament. Caulifla and Kale accomplish way more than he does, despite him being way stronger and more experienced than him. Ribrianne, of all fucking people, outlasted Hit by a wide margin. Android 17 put up a better fight against Jiren than Hit does, as the power scaling is retarded in this series. Jiren is basically a Hit clone, and the fact that he's a stoic, soft-spoken badass who is very strong, except Jiren has none of the qualities that makes Hit a cool character. Jiren's design is generic as hell, and he has no cool techniques. He's just overwhelmingly strong. What did Saitama teach us about overwhelming strength?
Having overwhelming strength is pretty boring, actually.
So Hit is tossed aside in favor of Jiren, so we never get a proper, definitive rematch for Goku and Hit. Although Hit isn't the only character tossed aside in favor of Jiren. Number 6. Toppo. We were introduced to Toppo during the Zeno exhibition match, where he was initially cloaked and concealed while accompanying the deities of Universe 11. After Goku beats Bergamo, Toppo reveals himself and challenges Goku to a fight. Toppo, a member of the Pride Troopers, fights for justice, and he sees Goku as a villain for initiating the tournament where all losing universes get erased from existence. They fight, and Toppo has an impressive showing, giving us something to look forward to in the tournament. Another interesting aspect about Toppo is the fact that he is a candidate to be the next Hakaishin for Universe 11. Unlike the Kaioshin, who are deities born from the Shinju tree, Hakaishin, like Beerus, are previously mortals who ascended to godhood. Through Toppo, we could have gained insight on how one becomes a Hakaishin, and Toppo would have made a good main antagonist for this arc. However, there is another Pride Trooper in the name of Jiren, who's stronger than at least his own universe's Hakaishin Belmod. Is he training with the angel Makarita? No, he isn't. How did he get that strong? Fuck if I know. Jiren becomes the main focus for Goku in the Tournament of Power, and Toppo isn't given much to work with. Then, after getting fed up with Frieza's underhanded backstabbing ways, he decides to abandon his values and showcases his true power as a Hakaishin in training. Then Vegeta takes him on and uses the final explosion to eliminate Toppo, and somehow Vegeta doesn't die in the process, but whatever. But Toppo showcasing his Hakaishin abilities is treated as no big deal in the presence of Jiren's overwhelming power. It makes Hakaishin look weak as fuck when some guy can just surpass them in strength through whatever bullshit means. Having Toppo as the final obstacle to overcome instead of Jiren would have been thematically better because Goku is working to be able to surpass Beerus, so before he can dare take on a Hakaishin, he would have to prove that he is able to take on someone who is next in line to become one. But all of this is wasted in favor of Jiren, the most boring, generic, uninspired piece of shit in all of anime.
Me, Brock Lesnar, here comes the pain. God built me strong, forget to give me brain.
Number 7. Trunks. Dragon Ball Super forces future Trunks out of retirement and has an entire arc featuring him, despite the fact that his character arc came to a close at the end of the Android saga when he returns home stronger and defeats 17, 18, and Cell from his timeline. So, through contrived coincidence, his timeline is now threatened by a Kaioshin in Goku's body. So, what does that leave for present timeline Trunks? Not much. Trunks was already a very wasted character by the end of Dragon Ball Z, and even though he's a main character in the Black Star Dragon Ball saga of GT, he gets sidelined for the rest of the series. Super is no better at utilizing him, as he's just a background character for the entire series. In the Golden Frieza arc, Trunks is present at the battlefield where Frieza is, and Frieza recognizes him and says he resembles the Saiyan, future Trunks, who cut him to pieces. With this change of events from Resurrection F, you'd expect this series to really play off of this to differentiate itself from the movie. However, Trunks just leaves, Frieza doesn't hunt him down, and this change of events goes absolutely nowhere. So why was it here in the first place if they weren't going to build off it? In Battle of Gods, there's a potential romance between Trunks and Mai. However, in the Super adaptation of the arc, they hardly even interact! However, by the future Trunks arc, they shoehorn in their romance as if they think people wouldn't notice that it wasn't present in Super, it was in the movie Battle of Gods. They shouldn't rely on people seeing the movie in order for it to make sense. Super should stand on its own 2 feet. Trunks does give his future counterpart a motivational speech, but that's not saying much. Also, why the fuck do their hair colors not match? Future Trunks' hair is blue for some reason, meanwhile Trunks' hair is lavender, and no amount of telling me Toriyama was inconsistent with Trunks' hair color in the manga will change my mind about it. Fuck Toriyama and fuck the manga. The anime decided his hair is lavender, and has been lavender for all of his appearances in the anime until Future Trunks' hair went blue for Super. So when the two Trunkses are seen together, they mismatch. They couldn't even get that detail right, so no wonder they're so bad at getting details right in this series. In the Universe Survival arc, Trunks, along with Goten, were suggested to be candidates for the Tournament of Power, but Goku decided against them, saying that they're too straightforward. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? It's nothing but total character burial at this point, as they give a completely half-assed reason to not include them. On that note, number 8, Goten. Trunks already wasn't given much to work with in this series, but he gets little bits and pieces once in a blue moon. What does Goten get in this series? Come on, guess. What does he get? Nothing! He doesn't get a goddamn thing to do in this series and hardly even qualifies as a character at this point. He has no character moments, or even moments for that matter. The most development he gets in all 131 episodes of Dragon Ball Super is he no longer thinks the Great Saiyaman is cool. Wow, that's very riveting character development, isn't it? He's basically Chaozu at this point, as he's only known through his association with either one of 3 characters. He's either known as Gohan's younger brother, Trunks' best friend, or that kid that looks like Goku. He doesn't have his own identity outside of them. In GT, at least he changes his appearance and becomes interested in dating instead of fighting. He's a wasted character in Dragon Ball Z and GT as well, but at least he has his own identity in GT. Also, why in the ever-loving fuck has neither Goten or Trunks aged in all this time? Battle of Gods and its corresponding arc in Super take place 5 years after the defeat of Majin Buu, but these two haven't aged a day since then. In Super, Trunks is the same age as he was in the History of Trunks special. In the special, he looks like how a 13-year-old should, but in Super, he and Goten are suffering from a tragic case of Bart Simpson syndrome. Also, Gotenks gets no time to shine as well. He gets disciplined by Beerus and gets his ass handed to him by Copy Vegeta. It really seems like Toriyama and Toei really hates these kids and are going far out of their way to bury them so far deep they'll never have the chance to be relevant again. Dragon Ball should really be focusing on developing the next generation of fighters. However, they have such a boner for Goku, they don't want to take the spotlight off of him.
Okay, that is a serious lump!
Number 9. Majin Buu. Majin Buu has fallen victim to a running gag all throughout Super. Before a major fight, he falls asleep and misses out on it. The first time it happens is in the Golden Frieza arc, when he's absent from the fight against Frieza's army. That one was no big deal, however by the time of the Tournament of Destroyers, it became a serious problem. Majin Buu is one of the 5 representatives of Universe 7 to take part in the tournament. However, the fat fuck falls asleep before the tournament starts, and they're unable to wake him up. Therefore, Universe 7 is 1 man down. We never get to see Majin Buu in action, and it's a huge wasted opportunity, especially with all of the promotional material for the Universe 6 tournament featuring Majin Buu. Another fighter might as well have been chosen if that's the case. Then the Universe Survival arc starts, and we have the Zeno exhibition match where Buu is set to fight Basil, but his fat ass falls asleep again. Thankfully, Mr. Satan was able to wake him up. Then he and Basil have an awesome fight, one that really pisses me off that we didn't get to see Buu in action much sooner, but it has me excited to see what he'll do in the Tournament of Power. Then, when he gets recruited for the tournament, he lost a lot of weight, he's fit as hell, and more hype and anticipation gets built up. But we can't have nice things. Only hours before the start of the tournament, Majin Buu falls asleep again. He has gotten fat all over again, and nothing will wake him up in time. So he's replaced by Frieza. What the fuck? This running gag was not funny the first time, it was even less funny the second time, and now they're just running it into the ground at this point. We saw a fit Majin Buu only for him to become a fat ass the next time we see him, so Chekhov's gun is just left hanging on the wall, never to be fired. And they replace him with fucking Frieza, of all people. I am so sick and tired of Frieza. In Dragon Ball Z, I already thought he was a terrible villain. Frieza bores me as a character, and now he's just a pain in the ass who won't go away. Cell is a far better villain, and I hope they never force him out of retirement. I even like Majin Buu better. Except Super Buu. Fuck him. They just don't know what to do with Majin Buu, and fuck anyone who says he'd be unfair or overpowered in the Tournament of Power. You can all suck my balls. You people have no imagination, and neither does Toriyama or Toei. Majin Buu might as well have died along with Kid Buu, because it's not like either GT or Super puts him to good use. Number 10. Piccolo. Let's be honest. After Piccolo's heroic sacrifice in the Saiyan Saga, Toriyama didn't know what to do with Piccolo since then. He pretends Piccolo is still relevant, but the truth is he's overshadowed by the Saiyans. Super is no different, and even goes out of its way to make Piccolo look bad. In the Golden Frieza arc, to protect Gohan, Piccolo actually gets killed by Frieza. However, it's yet another change from the movies that makes no difference because there are Namekian Dragon Balls to revive him, and he's alive and well for the next arc, so his death here carries no emotional weight whatsoever. Piccolo is one of the recruited fighters for the Tournament of Destroyers, and after Goku gets eliminated by Frost, Piccolo takes him on next. In the fight, Piccolo spends most of it charging his Makanko Sappo. Then after he catches Frost, he gets injected by Frost's poison, and the latter is caught cheating. Then instead of Frost getting disqualified, Vegeta insists he stays in and tells Piccolo to give up so that he can go in to beat the shit out of Frost, and Piccolo does! Why can't Piccolo stay in to beat the shit out of Frost? Why does Vegeta have to hog the spotlight? Vegeta, beating the shit out of Frost doesn't make up for the fact that you never get to kill Frieza. Majin Buu already slept through this tournament, so with Piccolo dropping out like a bitch, and Monica actually being a punk bitch, only Goku and Vegeta are representing Universe 7, proving that the writers don't give a shit about anyone but them. But it gets worse from there. Piccolo is really nothing more than a satellite character to Gohan, as everything about him revolves around Gohan. He spends most of Super training Gohan to access his hidden potential, and he also acts as a grandpa towards his daughter Pan, which isn't a bad thing, but this is. In the Tournament of Power, Piccolo is mostly regulated to being Gohan's meat shield, taking hits directed to Gohan. And the only time Piccolo gets any major eliminations is only when he's teaming up with Gohan and he does nothing on his own. Later in the tournament, there are a few fighters with gimmicky abilities somehow still in the tournament at the point where only serious fighters should be remaining. And Piccolo gets unceremoniously eliminated by a bug. Gohan was nearly eliminated by the same bug, but Piccolo stretches his arms to catch him. Why didn't Piccolo stretch his arms to grab the ledge and save himself? Plot-induced stupidity, that's why. Piccolo is reduced to being such a joke of a character that it's hard to believe he was ever important, it's hard to believe he was once a major villain, and it's hard to believe he was ever Goku's rival. That becomes a distant memory the longer the series continues. Number 11. Krillin. Krillin really wasn't given much to work with, and he has been a background character for most of Super. In Resurrection F, he gets to kick ass alongside his fellow Z fighters, but in Super's adaptation of the movie, he's a scared little punk bitch. He's somehow intimidated by Frieza's army of nameless mooks, despite the fact that he's faced far worse before, and it takes a motivational speech to give Krillin the balls to fight. Then he doesn't get a chance to get any action again until the Universe Survival arc, where he's recruited and spars with Gohan, showcasing his Taioken times 100. Then he spars with Goku, and somehow doesn't get blown to Kingdom Come when he has a Kamehameha beam struggle with Super Saiyan Blue Goku, but I already ranted about that. Then the tournament starts, he and 18 team up to score an elimination, then he eliminates Majora on his own, but he lets his guard down like a dumbass, and Frost Iron Tails him out of the ring. This happens within the first 3 episodes of the tournament, and there are a metric fuck ton of episodes left for it. So much for Krillin's special training. He gets eliminated so quickly, it's a joke, and the other characters make fun of him for it. Krillin's own count is so not funny anymore, and him being the butt monkey of the group is so played out. Number 12. Tenshinhan. Tenshinhan is a character that neither Toriyama or Toei seem to like, and it really shows in this series. He gets to kick ass in the Golden Frieza arc, but that's not saying much. When Goku recruits fighters for the Tournament of Power, he looks for Muten Roshi, and he's told that he's with Tenshinhan, and Goku is like, oh yeah, I could get him too. So Tenshinhan was nothing more than an afterthought. He doesn't think to recruit Tenshinhan on his own. He thinks to recruit an old has-been who's been retired since he forfeited his match against Tenshinhan in the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai and hasn't been a relevant fighter for the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. So Tenshinhan is running a dojo where there are a bunch of bald, nameless nobodies who have no chance in hell to be relevant. Then a girl who practices witchcraft possesses Muten Roshi, and Tenshinhan tries to stop him, but gets completely raffle-stomped by him. And Goku points out that Roshi must have been doing secret training. Bull fucking shit! I don't give a fuck what kind of training Roshi's been doing. He's been so far surpassed before the original Dragon Ball even ended. And Dragon Ball Z rose to power creep ridiculously high, as even the increasingly irrelevant Earthlings are still way stronger than Roshi. He spends all of Z sitting on his ass, reading porn magazines, and sexually harassing every hot piece of ass in the series. And it goes to absolutely creepy levels in Super. But not only does Tenshinhan get his ass kicked by Roshi, he later teams up with Goku to take on Piccolo and Gohan, and gets his ass kicked again. In the recruitment episodes of the Tournament of Power, everyone is played up like they're awesome choices for Team Universe 7, but Tenshinhan is just made to look bad. Everyone gets their dick sucked, but him. Krillin gets his dick sucked, Roshi gets his dick sucked, Gohan gets his dick sucked, Android 17 gets his dick sucked, Android 18 gets her pussy licked, Frieza gets his dick sucked, Majin Buu gets left out of the tournament, but he still gets his dick sucked. Tenshinhan gets kicked in the dick. Then in the tournament itself, Tenshinhan doesn't do dick. He and Roshi team up to eliminate one guy. Then there's a fighter who acts as a sniper, and he's giving a few members of Universe 7 trouble, so Tenshinhan's bright idea is to use his cloning technique and run out into the open where he's easy pickings to get shot down. He doesn't use the rubble for cover in order to sneak up on him. He goes full on Dragons and gets 3 out of 4 clones shot down. Then he has the guy cornered, but lets his guard down like a dumbass, and the guy destroys the ground under Tenshinhan. Then the clones take the guy down with him, so Tenshinhan gets eliminated in order to eliminate someone. And the other characters are very apathetic about Tenshinhan's elimination. He was the absolute most useless member of Team Universe 7. The Japs really hate Tien, don't they? Number 13, Gohan. Gohan is the biggest loser in the entire Dragon Ball franchise. Even more than Yamcha. Even more than Chaozu. Those two characters were never meant to be important, especially not Chaozu. But Gohan was meant to be Goku's successor and a new protagonist of the franchise, but the Majin Buu saga gave that idea a middle finger. Gohan is completely unimportant for the entirety of GT, and Super makes things worse for him. First of all, why is Gohan so fucking weak? In the Golden Frieza arc, Gohan can no longer tap into his hidden potential. Actually, he can barely maintain his Super Saiyan form. Why not? In the Beerus arc, Gohan can still go ultimate based on what Piccolo says. He has the aura, but doesn't have the one bang, so it's hard to tell. But Piccolo plays it up like it's a big deal that he got raffle stomped by Beerus. Only a year has passed, and Gohan is a weak-ass little beta cuck. And the 7-year time skip from Cell's defeat and the start of the Majin Buu saga, Gohan can still go Super Saiyan and even Super Saiyan 2. His power level isn't as high as it was with Cell, but he isn't weak. Here, despite there being a lot less time passed in between events, he is so weak that he's turned into a fucking meme even more pathetic than Yamcha's death pose. Then Gohan realizes how much of a sorry ass he's become, so he asks Piccolo to train him again so he can get his groove back. Then Goku goes to recruit Piccolo for the Tournament of Destroyers, and Gohan wants to join too until he hears the tournament is happening on the same day as a conference he must attend, so he changes his mind. I don't mind that Gohan's a family man and a scholar. Actually, I like that about him. It shows he's a very different person from his father, and he actually puts his family first. Also, his interactions with Videl are very cute, and I like the two of them together. However, that's no excuse for portraying him to be so weak. His motivation for training with Piccolo is so that he can be strong enough to protect his family, but shouldn't that have already crossed his mind as something that he needs to do considering the crazy world that they live in? Do a little training on the side so that he doesn't get rusty. Though I do like how caring Gohan is for his family, at the end of the day, Dragon Ball is a series about punching and kicking people really hard. So to see Gohan at such a low point power-wise when he was originally destined for greatness is a very sad state to see him in. By the Universe Survival arc, Gohan gets his groove back and takes part in the Xeno exhibition match where he fights Lavender and has a decent match where he wins. Then in the recruitment episodes for the Tournament of Power, Gohan faces his dad. He goes Ultimate and Goku asks why he isn't stacking Super Saiyan on top of it. Gohan says he's looking to achieve a never-before-seen ultimate form and get it in a different way from Goku. After the fight, Gohan is made the team leader of Universe 7, so Chekhov's gun is being put into play here. So we're expecting great things from Gohan, and we'll see him lead Team Universe 7 to victory, right? Well, no. Universe 7 hardly works as a team, and mostly separate to do their own thing. There are absolutely no instances within the entire tournament where Gohan is truly being a team leader. He's a team player, but not a leader. Unlike the previous examples on this list, Gohan isn't useless in this tournament. He gets several eliminations, whether he teams up with someone or gets them on his own. However, he wasn't nearly as impressive as he was built up to be. Although he does make it into the last stretch of the tournament when only Universe 7 and 11 are remaining, he doesn't last long from there. In order to eliminate Dispo, Gohan restrains him so Frieza can take them both out. What in the actual fuck? Dispo was already showcased to be very predictable and not that big of a deal when he faced Goku and hit, so why is a sacrifice play necessary to get rid of him? And why is Gohan the fall guy of all people? I thought he was the team leader, so why is he so expendable? Android 17 outlasts him and is the last man standing in the tournament. Why wasn't Gohan in that position? It would have thematically made way more sense and would have been the major comeback Gohan needed at this point. 17 lasting this long is nothing but pure fan service. There is no logical way 17 should be nearly as strong as he is if all he did was beat the shit out of poachers. Like I said with Golden Frieza, it doesn't qualify as training if you aren't challenging yourself. So Gohan gets stiffed yet again, and considering how far he's fallen from grace, he really needed a win here. So Team Captain Gohan went nowhere. Also, what about Gohan achieving a never-before-seen form? In the tournament, he uses his ultimate form and achieves no new power-ups during the course of the tournament. Kaba goes Super Saiyan 2, Kale goes Legendary Super Saiyan 2, Vegeta goes Super Saiyan Royal Blue, and Goku goes Ultra Instinct. But Gohan gets jack shit. So there's no payoff on Gohan's statement. Like with Majin Buu, Chekhov's gun is left hanging and is never used. Well then stop displaying the fucking gun if you're never gonna use it! Gohan is left in a similar situation as he was in the Majin Buu saga. He gets built up to be the man, and he gets dropped like a lead turd. Do you remember when Gohan defeated Cell? The Japs don't. The Japs don't even like Cell, so Gohan's win over him doesn't mean shit to them. The sad thing is, Gohan may never be relevant again after this. During times of peace, Gohan consistently ignores his training and gets weaker as a result, leading to him falling victim to power creep all over again. Toriyama has already showcased that he has no interest in Gohan being Goku's successor because he has such a hard-on for fuckboy Buckethead Goku and wants to continue milking him for all he's worth for all eternity. That doesn't leave much for Gohan, and he'll likely fade into obscurity the longer this franchise lasts. This is a fuck ton of wasted potential with these characters alone. This doesn't even include the problems with the story itself, which is a whole different topic of discussion. But this shows just how Dragon Ball Super is a series full of wasted potential. What do you guys think of this? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also like and subscribe for more content. So that'll be the end of this video. Have a good day, everyone. This is Trace, signing out.